These AIG bonuses is over. The House Financial Services Committee, led by Barney Franks, is at it again, quietly passing a measure that is expected to be brought to the House floor as early as tomorrow. It's called the Pay for Performance Act of 2009. Now, under the proposal, the government would impose pay restrictions on all employees, not just top execs at companies that receive any aid from the government. Democratic Congressman Alan Grayson is the chief sponsor of the bill, joins me right now. That's getting pretty big brotherish there, Congressman.
Well, why do you say that, Neil? The bill restricts unreasonable and excessive compensation.
But who's deciding that? Who's deciding that, Congressman?
The Secretary of the Treasury issues rules.
All right, but is a personal assistant or a secretary at the company bound by these same rules and these same pay levels set by some arbitrary bureaucrat?
The people who are bound by it are the people who have been ripping off the American taxpayer by stealing money from us and stuffing it into their own pockets.
But the assistant or the secretary, I would probably not include in that group. Would you?
Why would you think that's even an issue under this bill? This bill only talks about unreasonable compensation.
Well,
you know
who's defining unreasonable? Who's defining unreasonable?
Seriously, Neil, are any secretaries getting million-dollar bonuses? If so, please let me know.
Then state it. What is unreasonable to you? Tell me now. What is unreasonable?
If you get a $10 million bonus for destroying your company and putting the whole U.S. economy at risk, that's unreasonable.
Okay, you know what? I would agree. You know, on that, if you are getting that money and you brought the company under, I'd sign on to this thing with you, Congressman.
That's what this bill does.
Well, did you mention the $10 million thing in this bill?
What do you mean, by number?
Yeah.
No, because that would say that $9,999,990
Did you give me a range?
And we are not saying that it's okay.
Is there a range in this?
No, the Secretary of the Treasury is going to establish the ranges.
But do you see where this is going, Congress? I know your intentions are good, but what you're doing here is putting Congress in the role of determining what is okay and what is not okay, what compensation is excessive and what compensation isn't. Who's to say that this 10 million figure, well, you didn't even give me a range.
Neil, that's just wrong. We can punish bad people without punishing good people. That's what the law does every single day.
You're not even telling me what this law includes, Congressman.
No, I think I did.
No, you didn't. You didn't give me a level and a number. That's all I'm asking.
Well, that's for the Secretary of the Treasury to do. We have separation of powers, Neil. We have a Constitution.
But Congressman, you're giving him carte blanche powers, and you're not even defining what those ranges for those powers are. I think taxpayers, we have a right to know what we're writing off on.
No. We set the general rules. The executive branch executes on them. That's how the Constitution works.
But in the general rules, you're leaving it up to the Treasury to decide what are adequate compensation levels for everyone at that federally rescued company.
Lots of rules are like that, Neil. In the Constitution, we have due process and equal protection. That's all the Constitution says.
Then what's
due process and equal protection.
Then what's to
it's
stop
up to the executive branch.
You got to hear what you're saying because you're Sweden in a suit now. What is to stop a mid-level executive from thinking you and the Treasury are gunning for him, even though he had nothing to do with the demise of the company in question?
What would make him think that other than paranoid delusions?
Is it a paranoid delusion to think that you're telling me you're going to police salary and leave it in the Treasury's hands, and you don't even know what an adequate salary range is, but you're telling me, Neil, don't be paranoid and delusional because the Treasury is going to set those standards, but you can't even tell me what the standards are. Who's delusional, Congressman?
I'm telling you that laws are like that all the time. The Congress sets general guidelines and the executive...
They are stupid laws.
It's the Constitution, Neil.
No, the Constitution never gave you the damn authority of telling anyone what they should make. You are not...
Don't use profanity on the air, please.
The Constitution never gave you the authority to blithely come in here and arrogantly set pay for people you don't even know. And you don't have the guts to come back at me and tell me what you think adequate pay ranges are. And you cavalierly tell me, that's for the Treasury to decide, idiot. And the Treasury is going to set guidelines behind closed curtains. And then we're going to sign on to it because you say, trust the Treasury, trust me? Are you nuts?
Listen, Neil, we have a real problem here. The real problem is people are taking taxpayer money and they're looting it, putting it in their own pockets, and destroying the economy in the process. This bill stops that. If you're in favor of seeing that continue, a lot of people disagree with you.
You're obfuscating here. I am asking you, I agree with you. There were people in power who took obscene bonuses and pay packages, and they ran the company into the ground. But if this measure, if I'm reading it correctly, you're not even delineating or separating who those people are. You're just saying everybody at this institution is fair game for us to examine their pay packages. When I ask you at a level that you would deem excessive, you're not even playing along. You're not even giving me a range. You're saying that's up to Oz behind the curtain. No wonder American people are fed up with this nonsense.
No, Neil, that is not Alan Grayson's job. That is Mr. Geithner's job. He's the Secretary of Treasury.
He's part of this. To decide what number to write on the check.
No, we're taking away the blank checks that people have written for themselves at AIG.
Give me a number.
And saying that has to stop.
To you? Give me a number. How can you have people vote on something you don't even know what the hell they're voting on?
That's ridiculous. Everybody knows what they're voting on here. They're voting to stop these ridiculous, excessive bonuses, which you are defending.
I'm not defending. I'm just told you.
Then how would you stop them?
I just told you that if a company is taken over by taxpayers, ridiculous, overpriced bonuses for the very people who brought the company to this point, they shouldn't be getting them. And you're free at that point, since they got taxpayer dollars. If you want, go fire them. What I am saying, though, is that when you include en masse everybody at that company, what's to stop you from just willy-nilly going after any company you damn well please?
That's ridiculous. No one's contemplating that. Why don't you ask that question to Tim Geithner? Do you think he's going to say a secretary can make no more than $5,000 a year?
I don't know.
That's
because
absurd.
You know what?
This is a paranoid fantasy.
I will ask him, because you don't answer a simple question. We have entrusted in you oversight to make sure these abuses don't happen. Your answer to those abuses is, I'm going to police excessive pay. When I ask you what excessive pay is and how you would define it, you didn't even give me a range. I'm not the one insulting you, Congressman. You are the one insulting Americans who have better stock in thinking that their leaders can do a better job. You're humiliating them, not the crooks you say are running the companies.
That's absurd. We're passing a law that stops a bad thing from happening. You're creating these parade of horribles that will never happen.
All right.
I just told you what would happen. The bad thing is that $160 million.
If the Treasury gives me a range, God bless them, because I've asked you every which way I know to give me a range. Either you couldn't or wouldn't or felt that you shouldn't. We pay you, Congressman. Act like it.
Neil, I'm not the one using profanity on the air. I'm not the one interrupting the guests to show incredible rudeness on the air. I'm simply the one trying to answer your questions and make America a better place.
I'll tell you when I'm rude to guests. When they don't answer a question, all taxpayers have a right to know. That is when I'm rude.
Well, you're being very rude.
So be it.